guys, today we will be talking about the array insertion. So we will try to create this program. So this program I made is about the array insertion. So first, the program will ask the number of elements of your array. So for example, let's say 4. So then it will ask for the elements. So element 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it will display the elements that we have entered. So the elements I've entered here, the 1, 2, 4, and 5. So the program will display, and then it will ask for the element to be inserted in your array. So for example, here we will try to insert number 3 in between the number 2 and 4 from index 1, between index 1 and index 2. So let's put 3, and then location or index. So the location, so let's just put the location. So our location is on the third element, so let's put 3. After we set 3 to be inserted in our array, inserted in our third element. So here is now the resulting array. So in between, so this is the original 1, 2, 4, and 5. Then after we inserted 3, so this is now the resulting array 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So before there was no 3 here, so now we have 3 on the third element. So let's code this. So today I'm using online GDB, so this is not my website. I don't own this website. So let's create a C program. So I have here the algorithm on how to create the program. So first we have to declare variables: one array, one integer for the number of elements, integer also for the element to be inserted, and one integer for the location or index on where we insert our element here, and then I for our loop. So let's code int, let's say elements. So let's set the max size to 100. Then next is int. So next is num for our number of elements. So when we ask our user to input how many elements, so num, and then L for the element to be inserted, then location or the index to where we will insert our element, then I for our loop. So now we are done declaring our variable. So next is ask for the size of the array. So let's printf ask for the size of an array. So let's say enter how many elements, then scanf, then let's store the input to num. So our number of elements now is in num variable. So next, ask for the values of an array. So since we don't know how many elements our user will will input. So let's create a loop. So let's use I equals 0, and then I is less than or equal to n num. So now since we started from 0, so let's decrease 1 for our num, because we start from 0. So the reason why we started from 0 is because for our index, so we will print our index of our array. So let's use 0, then let's just decrease 1 for our num, and then I plus. So let's print, let's put printf here. So let's put \n. So the no here. So enter element and then the index. So this is the reason why we initialized I to 0, because in array our index always start from 0. Array indices always start from 0, always start counting from 0. So our first element will be stored on element 0. So enter element 0. So then here let's put I, then scanf %d integer, and elements I. So sorry for the noisy background, guys. Elements I. So since we have two statements here under our for loop, so let's put some curly braces here. So here, so we have now our, we're done here. As for the values of the array, we're done here, and then display all the values. So now we will display the values that we have collected here in here. By the way, let's put \, in here. So now let's create a loop again for let's just copy this loop. Zero, so it's okay. Then printf, so element I, so we will print from %d equals %d. So in our %d, let's put I. So in this kind of placeholder, so I, and then here is our array. So elements I. So let's try to run the code if we've achieved what we wanted. Let's see if there has no error. So there's an error. So let's see where here. So semicolon. So let's run again. So now enter how many elements? Let's say 5. Enter element 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So element 0. So let's put backslash in here and remove the ones here. Since we have scanf, so automatically our next statement will be printed at the next line, while here we have no scanf. So let's use backslash it, so our printf will not look like this here. They just printed on a single line. So now let's run again. Enter how many elements? Say 5. Enter element 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So element 0 is 1. So correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you noticed here that our 1 stored at the index 0, element 2 at index 1, 3 at index 2, and 4 at index 3, 5 at index 4. So the index of our array started with 0. So now let's proceed to ask for the element to be inserted. So let's use printf again. So printf element, let's just say insert element, then scanf. Let's store this to LA, because LA is our variable for the element to be inserted. Okay, so next let's put backslash L here, and then printf. So now we're done asking for the element. So next is ask for the location, so where we will, so let's ask the user where to insert the element here. So printf enter the location. So if he or she will wanted it to be on the index 0 at the beginning of the array, and in the middle, or any part of the array. So enter location, then scanf. Let's use let's call lock. So our variable lock is for the location. So let's store the location here to variable lock. So now, so we're done. Ask for the element to be inserted, ask for the location. Now what we will do is shift the affected elements downwards. So what does this mean is that, for example, this is our array. So this is our array from index 0, 1, 2, 3, index 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's just say we have values here, 1, 2, and 4, and 5. So what we will do is to shift the values. So let's say we will insert 3 at the middle of 2 and 4. So what we will do is these values here, 4 and 5, we will move this to here. So before, 4 is at the index 2, now 4 is at the index 3, and 5 is now at the index 4, and So our elements we will shift our elements downwards. So these two here, since they are not affected because we will insert the values after them, so these two values are the only one that will be affected, or only ones that will be affected. So let's create a loop. So let's create a loop. So let's create a for loop. So let's start with our number of elements. So I is equal to, since we will start moving from our so what we will do is we will start moving our, let's bring our, so this is the original value. So what we'll do is first we will move 5 from index 3 to index 4, and after that index 3 is now no index 3 has no value now. So let's move 4 here, 4, and now index 2 is now empty, so we will insert our value here. So the logic is to move, the task is to move 5 and 4 downwards, so we have space for the element to be inserted. Okay, so now so I is equal to our number of elements. So num is equal to our number of elements. So for example, we have 5 elements, so I is equal to 5. Now I is greater than or equal to, so we will decrement this. So we will start from the top up to the element after our insertion. So let's call location. So our num here, so this is now okay, so we will not decrease 1 here because we need to add an element or an index for our array. So okay, and here location, so we will, so now let's add value here, since we need an additional, we need to add index for our array to cater the inserted elements. So num plus 1 is greater than or equal, and then num plus 1, then I is greater than or equal to our location, and then I minus minus. Then after that, so now let's here, so let's shift our, so let's elements I plus no element I, so I is num plus 1, so element I is equal to elements I minus 1. So okay, so now what happened here is that this code just simply shift our shift. So this code here simply just shifted our elements downward to make a space for the elements to be inserted at the location given by the user. So our location now is empty. So let's put the element now here. Let's insert now the element. So element look -1 is equal to L. Okay, so our location, so we put -1 since our array index of our array started the count from 0. So let's decrease our location by 1, and then now let's try to print our elements after the insertion. Let's see if our code is correct or it has an error, so we can make an adjustments, so we can review our codes if there has been a mistake in our logic. So let's say let's create a printf first. So printf enter the elements after the insertion. Okay, then let's create a loop. So we will place a \n here so we have a double space, so we can. So next, so I is equal to 0, and then I is less than or equal to num plus 1. So now, so I is equal to 0. I is greater than or equal to num. Now next is I plus plus. Then let's print now the elements. So the elements after the insertion. So printf element 0, like that. So I element %d equals %d. So here we have our elements I. So we will put \n here. So now we are finished shifting the affected element downwards. We are done inserting the value and also display the final values of the array. So here we inserted. So let's review our code for a bit. So here we ask how many elements. Here to enter the elements, to display the elements entered, and then here for the element to be inserted and the location on where to insert. Then here we shift our affected elements downwards, and here we already performed the pip. So this code here performed the insertion, so the location, and then here is to print the final element, or I mean the final elements after the insertion. Now let's run our code to see if this is correct or not. Okay, run. There error L value required as decrement operand where 0 I plus plus I elements I. Here I plus plus. Run. So elements, so let's say 4 1 2 4 5. So elements are 1 2 4 5. So let's insert 3 at the third element. So here 1 2 3 4 and 5. So our code is correct. So we can now insert an element to an array at any index we wanted. So let's try at the beginning of our array. So let's have 3 elements. Let's say 2 3 4. So insert 1 at the first element. So 1 2 3 4. Now let's try at the last element. So let's have 4 1 2 3 4. Let's insert 5 at the fifth element. So we have here 1 2 3 4 5. So that's how you do an array insertion at any given index, at any index you wanted to be or you want to insert. So that's all for today. I hope you learned something. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more programming tutorials. So thank you and see you in our next video.